will introduce my group members. The first is me, Sulastri Putri Anggreni S, and Raisa Khaerani, Nurul Alyafih, Andi Himaya Humaira, and Asnidar. There are 7 elements of fiction. The first is setting, mood, character, conflict, POV, plot, and moral value.
Setting. Sorbonne University is one of the famous universities in France. That's where Evelyn, Joanna, and Oliver went to study. Evelyn first meets Oliver aspiring in the morning. Mood. Confusing, said Gossip. The author wants the reader to feel confused on what to pick. For Oliver, the author also wants the reader to guess what will happen to Putri, and the author wants the readers to feel sad reading the story. Evelyn, the most popular girl at campus and well known as Miss Perfect, who had everything she could have expected Oliver has. Oliver, the double marker and the captain of basketball team, is oblivious to his own feeling and secret the two didn't know yet. Joanna, Oliver's best friend, in love with Oliver and told that Oliver is in love with Evelyn.
Okay, next element is conflict. The conflict started when Oliver introduces Evelyn to John. The two later become rivals in order to win Oliver's heart. Next element is POV. In the first half of the story, we use third person to introduce the story. As we progress the story, we use different POV.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the next element. The next element is the plot. Graceful, charming, and clever. That's what people describe her. Evelyn, the most perfect woman. She had everything that Annie could dream of, beauty and rich. In surface, she is always smiling, but deep down, she knew there was something that even she, the so-called Miss Perfect, doesn't have. Evelyn yearns for love. Evelyn's parents never truly had times for Evelyn when she was young. She was spoiled with richness, but never her parents' love. She had given up on love. She thinks that it was the most useless thing in the world. That until she met him, a boy that changed Evelyn's perspective on life. Evelyn saw him on a spring morning as she was on her way to the campus. When Evelyn landed her eyes on the boys, it's as if time goes slow for her, and the only thing she could hear was the bird chirping loudly from the tree and the loud pounding of her heart. The boy's name is Oliver. Oliver is the opposite of Evelyn. Oliver is the captain in the basketball team at Sorbonne University and is well known as a troublemaker in the campus. But of course, not everything is always good for Evelyn. Oliver is in love with another. She knew after she sees the way Oliver saw his best friend, Joanne. Oliver may not realize that he liked Joanne, but Evelyn knew from the way he would always search and care for her. Evelyn hated Joanne for making Oliver fall in love with her, but at the same time, how could she hate her? She was such an angel. Joanne is the nicest and the most sincere girl she's ever met. On the other hand, Joanne liked Oliver ever since they were at high school, but doesn't know if Oliver saw him more than a friend. When Oliver introduces his new friend to her, Evelyn, the so-called Miss Perfect, she was jealous. She was jealous at the way Oliver looks at Evelyn. She was jealous at the way he smiles at her, but she knew she doesn't have the right to be jealous of Evelyn. Joanne was not Oliver's girlfriend. To Oliver, Joanne is just his best friend and nothing more. But this was not just another cheesy teen romance. There is always a twist in every story. Oliver had a secret that he never told his friends. He was sick. Not just some sickness that can be cured. He was dying. Oliver had a chronic illness that could put him in a coma state at any time. He was just waiting until the time stopped ticking for him, waiting for fate to come to take him. But as he saw his best friend Joanne, whom he cared for, he felt guilty, because one day when he's gone, there is no one going to be there for Joanne. Joanne was an orphan and a loner. Her only friend was Oliver, so Oliver decided to introduce Evelyn to Joanne in hope for the two to become friends.
Okay, next is the moral value element. The moral of the story is being a friend is more important being a lover because friendship is always the foundation of love.